George, you really set us up for success today.
Awesome.
I'll tell you that.
I'm excited.
So,
I love that.
So we are here in Old Town. We are at Frasher's Tavern.
Yes.
And George decided that he was going to bring us food from all the restaurants he owns.
Yes, sir.
So that's why the entire table is filled with everything from beans to collard greens to gumbo to hot chicken sitting right in front of me. And every bite was spectacular. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We had some of all of it too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I am sweating as predicted.
That might be because of the speed in which we tried to consume as much food as possible.
Yeah, I think so. The gumbo had a little spice to it too. I like that.
Throw some jalapenos in there.
And you went a little easier on us in the hot chicken by going medium.
I just did medium on that.
Nashville medium chicken, is that what you call it?
Yeah, well, the mild makes my manager sweat.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay.
It's no joke.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really good.
And so with that disclaimer, anyone listening to the podcast that hears maybe a lip smack every here and there, just don't get mad. Just be a little jealous because we got so much food in front of us. I don't know how you could expect us to not eat it.
Right. Actually, they should remember the timestamp, and then they can come in and order based off of that. Hey, George, what was Eric like wiping off his face at 14 minutes in?
I love it. That's awesome.
So you love food, George.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. Took me a long time to realize that food was the way that I needed my life to go, just somehow, right?
I don't know what that means, but I agree.
Yeah. Well, I've always known I've had I always knew there was a path for me. I never knew what it was. And then when I started working in food and beverage doing this side of I'm like, I was meant to eat and drink.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've known for a lot longer though, George?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I'm able to be in the restaurant business, what I want to do since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So growing up in St. Louis.
You're born in?
I was born and raised in St. Louis, South City, near Bevo Mill, which, for you beer guys, that was, the Bevo was the product that Anheuser-Busch Sr. came up with during Prohibition.
Okay.
And it's a malt beverage that was not alcoholic.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So, coincidentally, I found out that the folklore the reason why the Bevo was built there is not true.
Okay. Your whole life you've been thinking this, and then
I just found this out literally today or yesterday. I was kind of doing a little research on my background in St. Louis, and so the Bevo is so Anheuser-Busch is in a place called Soulard in St. Louis, and that is a little southeast of downtown.
Okay.
And Soulard is cobblestone streets, Victorian buildings. It hosts the second largest Mardi Gras in the country behind New Orleans.
Okay. All right.
So a bunch of bars and restaurants, and then Anheuser-Busch Brewery. And the road that I lived just off of was called Gravois. And there's a direct route straight from Pestalozzi Street in Gravois, which is where the brewery is, straight out to Grant's Farm, which is where August Busch Sr. lived.
Okay.
And the Bevo is about halfway. And so I was always told that he built that. It was dirt roads then, horse and buggy, and he would stop there to have a beer on his way home.
Okay.
Which was like it's about 14 miles, and
he couldn't wait till he got home. He's like, I need to stop on the way.
Exactly.
I get that feeling.
But I found out that it was he built it. It's a big windmill.
Okay.
And he built it as a restaurant to promote that people could still have eating along with their non-alcoholic malted beverage, the Bevo. So that's why it's called Bevo Mill.
Interesting.
So, yeah, a lot of history and a lot of Anheuser-Busch stories.
Yeah.
That are all developed around St. Louis. I actually worked at a steakhouse that was right by Grant's Farm called Sam's Steakhouse, and in the old days, it was called Munzert's Inn, and it's within a mile of Grant's Farm. And so reason it's called Grant's Farm, that's where they have Grant's Cabin, and it's a big they have the Clydesdale horses are there. It's all owned by Anheuser-Busch, and that's where Busch used to live, and he used to hunt wild game, and then he'd bring them over to Munzert's to cook it up for him. So that was what the restaurant was, Sam's Steakhouse, before I worked there.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. Then it became Grant Wood, which actually, by pure coincidence, my great uncle owned. And then I was brought in by some wealthy businessmen to operate this fine dining steakhouse called Sam's Steakhouse.
Nice.
So maybe we'll get to that a little later.
Is this all you learned?
Jumping the gun a little bit, I guess.
Well, is this all the stuff you've discovered on your recent ancestry journey? Like,
No. I knew all that stuff.
Okay, all right.
The only new thing, my father was a history teacher.
Okay.
Who then became in the restaurant business, and just always been interested in history and finding out stuff.
Yeah.
I did find out from my uncle, who was also in the restaurant business. He was my mentor through growing up in the restaurant business.
Okay.
And the reason why my grandfather, his father, ended up in St. Louis, because he grew up in Arkansas.
Okay.
And so doing a little bit of history and research, and I'm like, I'm sure glad that he ended up in St. Louis instead of growing up in actually Hope, Arkansas. So
Okay.
that's where Clinton was from.
Oh,
so he
gotcha,
was one town over from Hope, and it's called Prescott, Arkansas.
Prescott or Prescott?
That's called Prescott.
Okay, all right.
But I know it's Prescott here. Spelled the exact same way.
A lot of difference mileage makes, right?
Exactly. And then when I was looking it up, there's actually an Arcadia that is right outside of there too.
Do they say it differently?
I don't know. I don't know how they say it there.
Well, so is food always a part of like growing up? Like, was it?
So my grandfather was actually a cook in the Navy.
Okay.
And the way that so he got transferred after the war to St. Louis and was a cook at Jefferson Barracks, and that's how he established his roots in St. Louis. And he actually met my grandmother in the war in Italy.
Okay.
Brought her back from Italy. So that's my dad's mom and dad. And actually my mother's father owned some bars in St. Louis also.
Okay.
My mother's a school teacher. But growing up, knows how to party.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So in St. Louis, there's a corner bar on, I mean, literally 3 on every corner.
Okay.
And so we used to go out and had a real good understanding of hospitality and taking care of people through St. Louis, whether they find a reason to celebrate for everything. We used to have Bevo Day, speaking of the Bevo Mill, and I mean, we could walk there. It's 4 blocks from my house, and you'd come with little tin buckets and fill them up with beer.
Alcoholic beer, though.
Exactly.
Right. All right. No more of the Bevo stuff. Yeah. Hey, non-alcoholic beer is kind of making a little bit of a resurgence. I've heard. We've had conversations about it, and we've been in places that had it. I'm like, I'm not gonna try it though.
Yeah.
So as long as we're on a side like that, what do you think of the seltzer craze?
I mean, I don't like them. You?
I don't even know what White Claw is.
I was wondering if you were slamming down White Claws on the weekend.
Man, the old Frashers, we were 2 miles down the road here on Scottsdale Road, and
oh, that's right. Yeah.
we closed that in May of 2015, and we opened up the barbecue place in June 8th of 2015. But so I basically, and then we opened this place, the Tavern here. We opened that in New Year's Eve 2019.
Okay.
So 10 weeks before COVID. What a great time to open.
And
Crushed it.
how was that opening?
Oh, we crushed it. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was
And then a
awesome.
couple weeks later, everything gets turned on its head.
It was. Yeah, it was.
He's like, all I can do is laugh.
I
Yeah.
actually was on a barbecue tour in Texas then. But sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked. So anyway, I've been out of the bar business basically for 7 years. I opened this place up, and these people started ordering White Claws, and then all my guys. I play golf once a year with this group of guys, and they're all drinking White Claws out there. I'm like,
What were they drinking before?
all Budweiser, Bud Light,
Okay. Yeah.
Miller Lite, and now the girl on the course, I go, what is this White Claw stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you guys drank us out of White Claw by 10:30 in the morning. The whole course, drank the whole course out of White Claw.
She's like, how do you not know what White Claw is?
I'm like, what is that stuff, man? Do I really have to carry this stuff? And now they got Bud Light seltzer and
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of
Yeah.
other stuff. So
It's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Beer,
So anyway.
right? St. Louis beer.
I-
You drank beer.
Budweiser, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the way they put their kids to bed. Is they you're crying there, they just put a nipple on the Budweiser bottle and stick it in your mouth.
To this day, they're still doing that. Yeah.
Yep. Grandfathered in. It's a rule. Yeah.
My dad told me a story of when I was a little kid. They had a party at the house, and they'd send me off to go and get everybody beer, and I like getting everybody beer, and I ended up they would bitch about the foam. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't know if I can say bitch on
Yeah,
here.
you
Is
can.
Yeah, you can say bitch as much as you want.
That's just what they were doing, isn't it?
So I started sucking the foam off the top of the beers before I brought them to him. Look at this. I didn't even realize that as a 2-year-old. And my dad said that I was walking around the party. I think I was like 5. But as a 5-year-old, I'm servicing people. I didn't even realize that till just now saying it. But the point of the story is his 5-year-old son is running around the party drunk because he drank all the foam off everybody's beer.
Thus, the legend was born.
Yeah, seriously.
George Frasher.
It all makes sense
Exactly.
now.
Well, it really
Exactly.
does. And so I'm wondering why we're drinking root beer. Then. Like, right,
Well, this IBC
Which
is
is a
brewed
great
in
touch.
St. Louis.
Okay. I knew that was a specific touch because I've seen IBC before.
You know, I really didn't know it was brewed in St. Louis.
Okay.
I just always grew up on IBC, and so I had that in my restaurants. But here, because of COVID, I mean, everybody's out of everything all the time. And because of glass, IBC was out of stock for going on about 6 months.
Wow.
And so I called. I won't take no for an answer, man.
I want to clarify it right now.
I'm
Even
like,
on something like that.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like Glenn Close. I will not be ignored.
And so you
So I called IBC, and I'm like, dude, when are you going to have IBC? And I ended up calling a St. Louis number, and that's how I found out that it was
really
from St. Louis. I just grew up with it, and I thought it was available out here. And so
Yeah.
actually, 7-Up is made in St. Louis also. That's where it originated, the Uncola.
The Uncola.
So,
I'm learning a lot today, George.
Yeah.
We are 14 minutes in, and this is fantastic. I'm full. My brain is full of knowledge.
well, good. We're gonna keep that journey going. So you asked me about the restaurant business and me getting into it.
Yeah.
So my mom used to take me to bars all the time as a kid growing up, and actually another good story is I can sleep anywhere. I was awful. I'm an only child, and my mother was a single parent raising me, and so she took me everywhere she went, and I would sleep on the jukebox. I even slept in the window of a bar where the stage was, where the band was playing while they were playing.
Just out. You can just go out.
Sleep, no problem, man. All the time. Still to this day, I'm very fortunate. In that.
That's a blessing. Yeah.
Dude, if I lay in bed for 2 minutes and I'm not asleep, I get upset.
really
Yep.
Are you like chronically tired, or is it just like whenever you're ready to go to bed, you lay down?
I work so hard, and I play hard too. And I just give my body that rest. I don't have a watch. I don't have an alarm clock. I wake up when my body wakes me up.
Nice.
So,
that's about as good as you can get in life, right? Work hard, play hard, and get good sleep.
Oh man, that's I have a very good life. I'm very blessed, very very fortunate.
Where's water fit in, George? My wife would ask you, George, did you drink enough water too?
I'm working on about a gallon a day.
Wow. Okay, it's better than me.
So
definitely. Same here.
Yeah.
So I have a workout guru. His name is Mac Newton. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
No.
Mac Newton?
Yeah.
Sounds like a workout guru for sure. Yeah.
So he had a studio directly across the street from my barbecue restaurant, and he's been in the Valley for 30 plus years.
Okay.
Training professional athletes. You guys know Bo Jackson? You remember that name?
Oh yeah, Bo Jackson. Bo knows.
So Bo did know.
Yeah.
So when Bo got his hip replacement and he came back for the White Sox and hit a home run his first at bat.
Yeah.
He was working out with Mac Newton then.
Oh wow.
So Mac trained a lot of Cardinals. He's the only man to have a World Series ring and a Super Bowl ring.
Really?
As a trainer.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to come in here and smack the cornbread out of my hand or something. Is this a setup?
That's the third part of this series right now. It gives us food at the beginning, food at the middle, then at the end. Mac Newton's coming in. We're screwed.
We're gonna do some mountain climbers in between here to work it out.
You're gonna be having a cleanup crew here because this is all coming up. My wife will do that too. She'll be like, "We'll eat this great meal." She's like, "I feel like going for a walk." I'm like, "I feel like laying on the floor, just flat."
Right here looks perfect to me.
So okay, so you could sleep anywhere. Oh yeah.
So with Mac, so Mac came into my restaurant right across the street. He used to come in all the time, and he's like, when you're ready to train, come on over. And I'm like, man, I work out. I mean, I've been an athlete my whole life, but I don't need anybody to push me. Well, I that was 4 years ago. I'm so glad that I met him.
Okay.
And he when he caught me, another thing, I don't have a scale at my house. I don't really. I mean, I look at myself once in the mirror in the morning, and I didn't realize how fat I really was. Okay. Stress. It was stress. It was the stress of closing down the other restaurant.
Okay.
So this was 2017 that I started working out with Mac, and 2 years of my old restaurant. I did everything I could to stay there. We were there 16 years, and
that was the one on Scottsdale Road.
Yes,
okay.
Scottsdale Road and Oak, basically between Thomas and McDowell.
Okay.
It was called Ambrosino's for 27 years before that. Had a big white fountain out in front and Greek statues. So that was Ambrosino's. I took it over. And Mr. Ambrosino was my landlord. He passed away, and his kids took over, and that's when I lost my lease.
Gotcha.
And so we had some intense meetings, to say the least. I had a for sale sign over my front door for the last 16 months while we were there. And I did everything I could to stay there. I thought that things were going to work out. I thought I was going to be there forever. And just in case, they were such wild cards dealing with that I started looking for other locations. And that's when I came across Frasher's Smokehouse, which is at 32nd Street and Indian School. And that was Chewy's before that. And so I was opening up Frasher's Smokehouse as a second concept. And when they found out that I was opening up Frasher's Smokehouse, they gave me my walking papers at the other restaurant. They figured 2 years of having a tenant in here and bringing tons of people in, they couldn't rent it out or sell it. So they decided they'd try their luck with without anybody in there. So they ended up selling it for less money 2 years after it sat vacant than I offered them. So, but anyway, so I ended up over at the Smokehouse, and the me being fat, I was trying to wipe that out of my mind, and then it came back in why we were telling this story. So the Arcadia News did a article on me, and there's a picture of me. It's still there over at the Smokehouse in the front, that I have hanging up in the front, and I'm like, there's no way I am that fat. Never really noticed it, dude. I was small frame of a man. I'm about 5'9". I weighed almost 300 pounds. I was 290. So I
pure muscle though.
No, big belly in there. I lost. So I started working out with Mac, and I lost 86 pounds.
Wow.
Dang.
Dropped.
Wow.
So I was a 46-inch waist. I was wearing 32s. So I dropped 14 inches in my waist working out with him.
With Mac. Yeah.
And then it's been on a roller coaster because I did research on Mrs. Chicken, and and I lost time working out with him, and so I put on 60 of that pounds back. But then I lost it again, and then I started working out with Mac again, and when I opened this restaurant, he decided after 30 years of being in that location on Indian School, he would decide to move up to North Scottsdale. So I literally could walk across the street all the time.
Yeah.
And I went to the first class up in North Scottsdale. It took me 45 minutes to get up there. And so I stopped working out with him. And I did research. That's that party, the barbecue tour that I was telling you about right before COVID happened. It was in Texas. I put 30 pounds on in a week.
Wow.
Man.
From eating barbecue?
Ate at 28 barbecue restaurants. My girlfriend was a trooper. It was her birthday. Her father lives in Austin. I'm sorry. Her father lives in Houston, and her grandmother lives in Austin. And so we went down there to celebrate her birthday. I was a barbecue judge at the Houston Rodeo, which is the third largest barbecue competition in the world.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I ate over 50 briskets on that trip. It was
over
man.
50 briskets.
That's a lot of briskets.
Like
I
whole cuts though? Or
No,
just like
just if you take a bite of 50 of anything, man,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
50 beans. Man, that was a lot. Yeah.
So
I was picturing whole briskets. So I'm like, dang, George, you are dedicated.
I was in search of the holy grail of brisket, and I found it. And
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What was it?
Franklin's Barbecue.
Franklin's. Okay. Yeah.
He, it's worth the wait. I actually had to change my plane ticket to come home because we had to wait in line
To fit in Franklin's.
really.
So I had a whole barbecue tour mapped out. So we did barbecue in the daytime, and then I had the steakhouse, so we had to do research for a steakhouse. So we did steakhouses at night, and there was one restaurant. I have a sweet tooth. My girlfriend has a real sweet tooth. One restaurant, we ordered all 8 desserts that they offered.
Ooh.
So you can put 30 pounds on in a week,
Yeah.
real quick.
Sure.
So and then we hit a couple of places on the way to Austin, and then we spent a couple days in Austin and ventured out to a couple of places. So Franklin's at that time, you'd heard about the lines. They're literally 5 hours long.
Yeah. 5 hours. Ooh,
So
man.
So we they were also doing call ahead. I found out, and so you could call and order it, and so I called 6 days in advance to order our food, and actually great customer service. I mean, this is a place that they do I don't know, between 9 and 10 million a year out of a 30-seat restaurant. I mean, that's all the bigger it is. People just wait in line for days, literally. So I was like, trying to cram in as much as I could in this trip. So I'm like, I'm going to call Franklin's. We're going to have food ready. We'll be able to hit that and then hit a couple other places before we go to the airport. Well, I left them a message. They called me back the next day and said, you have to order 7 days in advance. And I ordered 6 days in advance. So I'm like, hey man, I'm in the restaurant business. I got a barbecue place. You know, I'm hitting all these other barbecue places. I really, really want to do. She's like, yeah, you can come and wait in line.
Oh man.
So I ended up changing our trip so we could wait in line.
So you wait in line.
I waited a whole nother day. So I worked out here at El Paso Barbecue. That's the reason why I got out here. I didn't tell you guys about that. And one of my managers lives in one of my managers from El Paso is now in San Antonio. So he said he'd come up and visit me at Franklin's. So he got there at 9 o'clock in the morning and started waiting in line. And so I was like, oh, cool. He's waiting in line. So I went and hit 2 other barbecue restaurants while he was waiting in line.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, right?
That's how I was able to cram in 28 restaurants in 5 days. I didn't tell that disclaimer.
Jeez.
So my girlfriend was a real trooper. She ate the whole way, man.
Did you go
How
to
many is that a
Valentina's?
day? Is that like 6 a day?
Yeah. 28 divided by.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now I can't do math anymore.
I know.
Even simple algebra. I'm like, what even? These are too big of numbers.
You're getting sleepy. Did you go to Valentina's?
No.
Okay, so my buddy is from, because he's always said, you know, oh, they don't have any good barbecue in Phoenix or in Arizona, right? So we go back to Austin and we go to a couple places, Salt Lick, we go to Valentina's, and I'm like, okay, that's good barbecue.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it is good. We got good barbecue here too, but
We do.
Franklin's, all right, that's on the list for sure. It'll be worth it. And could you drink beer while you're waiting in line?
You can bring your own.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So had a keg at Valentina's. You could just go fill your keg of Shiner Bock.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
So they actually, while you're in line, they have a person who comes through. A lady came through that day and kind of guesstimating what they're going to have, and they said that we were going to get the last bit of turkey. And she was right.
Yeah.
We got served at. He got there at 9. We got served at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we got the last of the brisket. Just amazing how they were able to project that far out.
Yeah. And do they tell people in line, hey, we're not going to...
Yeah. That's how I heard, because 2 people behind me ordered turkey, and she goes, you might be able to, but I think we're going to be sold out of turkey by then.
Setting proper expectations, right?
So then I perked up, and then I went over and I'm kind of following her in line, trying to learn what I can. That's why I went on that barbecue trip. I grew up in St. Louis, learned how to do barbecue in Kansas City, so I knew all the Missouri places. Also, I was a barbecue judge at Memphis in May, which is the second largest barbecue competition in the world. Wow. The largest there is Kansas City.
Okay.
That's called the American Royal. They'll have 500 competitors there.
500. That's the biggest one?
Yeah, that's the largest in the world. 526 2 years ago when I was a judge there.
Man.
And then they do about 350 in Memphis, and then 250 in Texas. So so I knew all that, and when I opened up Frashers, I dive into everything, and so learned Carolina style and Texas style, but there's actually 4 different styles in Texas, and that's the meat market style, which is the central Texas. Okay. They have the Tex-Mex, which is the southwestern. Then they have the eastern, which is more Kansas City style.
Okay.
And then they have a southern barbecue, and then the meat market. So I'd never been to the meat market. I'd been all around Texas. I'd done a couple of barbecue conferences in Dallas. But so I went to check out the brisket, and brisket is definitely king in that meat market area. Yeah. You know, most of that barbecue originated from actual meat markets. That's how it became popular. Or not even popular. they were reutilizing. They were cutting their meat and selling steaks out, and then they're like, what are we going to do with these cuts of meats? And so they started cooking them, and that's how the barbecue started.
Wow.
Yeah, because I would think that is it less or more cost effective to just like smoke something and just like hang it over a fire for a long time?
Well, so brisket used to be a lesser cut of meat.
Okay.
That's why we smoke it for 14 hours.
Yeah.
You have to smoke it that long for it to break down, 12 hours.
Yeah. You're not searing that and slicing some off for some tacos.
No. And one thing I have learned in the competition barbecue is totally different than the restaurant barbecue.
Okay.
The competition, you are only making one plate, and it's for that short period of time. And so they have it down to a science where they're cooking their briskets in 6 hours.
Okay.
But, right after the competition, when people are out walking around, they all came to eat barbecue off of my plate.
Yeah.
Because everybody else's brisket, it gets tough. There's a place, it's called the stall, and it just doesn't change temperature. No matter for about an hour, anywhere from an hour to 4 hours.
Meaning
it gets
the
stuck
internal temperature of the
it
brisket.
It just stalls, and it's very tough in there. So during that competition barbecue, they are realizing how to make that big piece of meat tender for just a short period of time, for like a 30-minute window. And then it's not very good, which is totally different from what I'm learning. I'm trying to serve people all day long and have consistent quality all day long. They're just giving quality to one plate for a short period of time.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, because and isn't it a certain part of the brisket that they take to give to the judges? It's called. I was watching a video and I learned a lot, Luke. So follow along here.
So the brisket we have today is actually Texas style, which we do over at the Smokehouse on Tuesdays, and the difference between Kansas City style, which is the normal way that I do it, and then the Texas style brisket on Tuesdays is, so you have a whole brisket, and it's basically cut up into it's two different muscles that are combined in the brisket. The top part is the fat cap, and then the bottom part is the flat. They also call the fat cap the point because people don't like it. It's a fat cap, man. That's what I like. I like to eat the fat, man.
Yes.
But when you're selling it to customers, it's moist brisket.
Okay.
That's true. That's true. Unless you don't like the word moist, then it's the wet brisket, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then in Kansas City, so they trim it up beforehand. They trim that fat down, and then they just cook the brisket that's there. And then they offer you the fatty or lean brisket.
Okay.
Kansas City, you cook the whole brisket. You don't trim it up at all. And then you take that fat cap, you cut that off after you've smoked it for 12 or 13 or 14 hours. And we re-season it, stick it back in the smoker, smoke it for an additional 4 hours, and that's where you get the burn ends.
Okay.
So the difference between Kansas City and Texas is fatty or lean, burn ends, or the flat.
Okay. And burn ends have become like a prized part of the barbecue process, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, we sell out of them every day. I wanted to bring you some burn ends today, and, I mean, we sell out by 1 or 2 o'clock every day.
And is that just because it's fattier, so it's more delicious, or why do you think they're so popular?
Well, yeah, that's why they're so popular, because they're fatty, and the reason there's not as much is because it's as much brisket as you sell.
Okay, yeah.
You only have so much on the top.
And so, is that like the only menu item that has that level of popularity, or does it kind of reverberate throughout your menu?
The ribs are probably they're right up there with the burn ends and the brisket.
And what style of barbecue do you do your ribs?
So those are more Memphis style.
Okay.
So, and we don't put barbecue sauce on any of our barbecue. Kansas City. Arizona being a transplant, barbecue means something different to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, if you're in Kentucky or Tennessee, or you grew up in Texas, or you grew up in Carolina, so we offer. Right now, since COVID, we pared it down to 3 sauces, but we normally run 6 and sometimes 7 sauces. The main 3 that we use now is a Kansas City style sweet. We have a Tennessee tang, which is similar to Mall's was my inspiration for that. Mall's is a barbecue sauce out of St. Louis.
Okay, nice.
Something that I pull from my heritage a lot. That's how this pizza came here. We'll tell you that story later. But I figured as long as I'm going to own my own restaurant, I'm gonna eat the pizza that I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I started shipping them out, and the way it turned up on our menus, I gave a slice to one of our regulars. He's like, "What are you eating there?" And I go, "It's pizza I grew up on, man." And gave him a slice, and he was like, "Man, I love that stuff." And next thing you know, I put it on the menu. The way we get the cheese and the crust out here is my mom goes down to the Hill, which is an Italian settling in St. Louis, picks up the cheese and the crust, takes it to the airport, flies it out here, and I pick it up from the airport.
Yeah.
Same with our toasted raviolis.
So you have your own little cheese importing business, huh?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, there's so much St. Louis about, like, really everything, right? I mean, when you know, in the tavern here, there's all kinds of sports memorabilia. So that has to make things hard, right? Like, that's got to make things. Oh, I think we got your guy over here. Are we ready to roll some? Okay.
Oh,
Thumbs
cool.
up on the food, yeah.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
Man, you
good.
guys,
I just got hungry.
time flies, man. You guys,
Seriously.
guys are good.
Well, so I mean, that had to have made things a little bit more difficult for you, right? Like to because people come from their places and they're like, all right, I want to have a Chicago place, and you got some Bears stuff up and maybe one drink that is
right.
Chicago, but for you, was that challenging?
So no, it just kind of evolved. So anytime St. Louis teams came to town, we do bus trips for them. We used to take 275 people to the Rams-Cardinals games.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was fun the first year out at the new stadium. They wouldn't sell me more than 8 tickets at a time. They wouldn't they wouldn't reserve a block. They wouldn't sell them to me because I was a St. Louis bar bringing St. Louis fans to Arizona.
Yeah.
And so we actually camped out. I had two of the girls that were working at the restaurant. We camped out and bought 275 tickets at 8 tickets a pop.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
So we did 4 buses out to the stadium. So when they were down in ASU, it was a lot easier because we were 2 miles down the road. So we just bussed them back and forth and did a couple of trips. But so the St. Louis stuff just kind of evolved, and we became known as the St. Louis as a St. Louis hub. Actually, when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, we were voted the second best St. Louis bar outside of St. Louis.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Behind, I don't know if you follow hockey at all, but they were playing the song Gloria. The Blues were when they were winning. That year they were in last place in January, and then they ended up winning the Stanley Cup that year. And like on January 5th, they were in Philadelphia, and they went to a bar where there was this DJ playing some 80s music, and the song Gloria came out, and they had him play it over and over and over again, and they ended up winning their game. And so then they went there afterwards, and he played it over and over again, so they started playing Gloria the entire time. So the name of that bar was Jake's, I believe, and they were voted the #1 St. Louis bar outside of St. Louis, even though they weren't a St. Louis bar, where the song originated. So St. Louis actually represents about 25% of our business. Yeah, you can bring it out. We're gonna try some of the steakhouse food here.
Oh man!
So I didn't finish. I got to tie up a couple of stories, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
First the fat story and Mac Newton, and the drinking of water. And
okay.
So he has this 3-2 eating plan, which is 3 things you can eat and 2 things you can drink.
Okay.
The 3 things you can eat are lean proteins. It doesn't have to be lean, just non-antibiotic protein. vegetables and fruit. And so the two things you can drink are water and fruit juice. So every morning I get up and have a Mac shake, which is half an apple, half a pear, a whole banana, and 16 ounces of orange juice. And then that's your fruit intake for the whole day.
Blend that all together.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day it's water and meat and veggies.
Wow.
So
Where's cheese fit in there?
exactly. So that Texas trip that I went on, we did all that eating, man. and I lost working out with Mac because he moved up so far.
Yeah.
So that's how I got the belly that I have today.
Thank you.
And after today, we're starting back on the Mac plan.
After today?
After
you
today.
planned it for our podcast.
Well, I figured we could. So we got here. So this is peppercorn steak soup.
Okay.
We
Peppercorn
invented.
steak.
Oh, dude,
nice.
this stuff is amazing.
I'll wait to eat it because Luke's going to take some pictures over there.
Oh, okay.
I know. Like, George, I want to dive right into
Really?
that, man. Yeah. I was going to say this earlier.
Come on, man, you're just setting this down in front of me here, man.
Luke, I really, truly think I found my match. I always tell people, challenge me to find somebody that likes food more than I do. George, you like food more than I do. And we're going to become best friends very soon.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so you drink water and juice.
So you're supposed to drink 120 ounces of water every day.
Okay,
So,
that's a lot. Depending on like size difference doesn't, because I'm a big dude.
Yeah, that's just what he recommends. 120 ounces for everybody.
Dude, if Mac recommends it, I'm in.
He definitely changed my life. So
you got to do that, right? Like you get to a point where our bodies are like, okay, time to kind of let's level this out a little bit.
Exactly.
Right. We
Well,
don't recover as quick. We don't burn stuff as quickly. Yeah.
My base has just gotten up so high.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It used to be down at 180, then it was 200, then it was 220.
Yeah.
Now my base is like 260.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to quit reverberating up there.
Yeah. Hey, Mac. That's where Mac comes in. Well, so what was the other loose end you wanted to tie up?
So then the Mac started the. So that was the Texas trip that I finished there. Also opening this restaurant here, we opened this restaurant in 23 days.
Wow.
23 days from the day I got the keys to the day we opened.
Wow.
So it was it's like speed dating.
Yeah. Sure.
I would show up here and I'd have 6 interviews and I'm like, dude, we got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I got to go. And so sit in and interview everybody, hired 40 people and
wow.
Got them trained and we opened up and it was amazing.
This is 2019?
2019.
Okay.
So we opened December 23rd, 2019. So New Year's Eve, 2019. Put a tear in my eye. I'm emotional, I guess, but I don't cry very often. And it was opening night here, packed 250 people in this place.
Yeah.
And it was actually this table that we were sitting at. This friend of mine, Danny, was sitting right where you were. And I'm walking through the dining room, heading to the kitchen, and he stops me. And he got the entire place to give me a standing ovation.
Ah, man.
Dude, it was
you broke down?
Giving me chills right now just talking about it. It's,
man.
I'm going to do a cookbook. That's the next thing on my list.
Nice.
And that's going to be the opening scene.
Okay.
Is a standing ovation.
Yeah.
But all the hard work that's went into it for the last 22 years for myself and then 6 other years for other people. So just to give you some quick glimpses of my past. So I grew up in St. Louis, worked at the Arch in St. Louis, worked on the riverboats. So heavily downtown feel. That's why I think I'm so passionate about St. Louis.
Okay, sure.
My mom, as a kid, taking me all the different places and the bars, whether it's St. Patrick's Day or Strassenfest or VP Fair, which is the second largest 4th of July party in the country behind Philadelphia. It's just a big party all the time.
Yeah.
And learning how to cook all those different foods and being authentic to all that. So as we do stuff in all the restaurants, I do history. We do a Reuben on Mondays where I make my own pastrami from scratch.
Nice.
So I go out and get the plate, which is the navel end of the brisket. We brine that for 10 days. We cure it for 3 days, and then we smoke it for half a day.
Man, I like Reubens too.
Oh, man. So that was invented in Nebraska. Who would have ever thought?
I did not know that. No, I would have not have guessed that.
And then the Thousand Island dressing, we use our Tennessee Tang barbecue sauce instead of ketchup that we mix in there.
Ooh, nice.
So we kind of give our own little twist, but we do authentic and stay to the way that they make it or have had or originally made it.
Yeah.
So went to college at the University of Missouri-Columbia.
What'd you go to school for?
Hotel and restaurant management.
Okay.
Actually had the second most job offers when I graduated.
Wow.
I had 6 job offers. There's one guy that had 7. He actually got offered a job from Houston's, who I wanted to work for my entire life. I didn't get a job offer from them. But I went and worked for KC Masterpiece.
Okay.
The barbecue sauce. They had 4 restaurants, and 2 in St. Louis, 2 in Kansas City.
Oh, so they had
2 in
actual
Chicago.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Is that where it started? Like as far as, or did they have sauce and then open the restaurants?
So the sauce was invented by Dr. Davis. He was a child psychologist.
Okay.
And then he sold that off to Kingsford Charcoal. It was actually owned by Clorox at the time.
Interesting. Okay.
Kingsford Charcoal, I just learned something about that. So I'm watching the History Channel, and they got all the different stuff going on. Well, Kingsford Charcoal was actually invented by Henry Ford with the wood that they put, the wood paneling that they made the cars with. Yeah. The leftover wood, he ground that down and made that into charcoal briquettes. And
really?
And then Kingsford was his guy that started making it, and then he ended up selling it to Kingsford, and that's how Kingsford Charcoal came about. I just learned that about last month.
Okay. So you still learn, George. You're
always learning.
Are you going to get a picture of me eating this, or you just hand it to me to eat? For the people that don't watch the podcast and just listen to it, you got to watch it, because, especially if you want to see me eating.
Outstanding. So Dr. Davis sold the barbecue sauce off, but then he retained the rights for the restaurants. So his 2 sons, Rich Jr. and Charlie, were the ones that ran it. Actually, I talk a lot about St. Louis and my upbringing and Kansas City and that sort of stuff, but this is a taste of AZ, and I love Arizona. It's where I live. I've been living out here for 26 years. The guy who brought me out here is Rich Dillon. He owns 4 restaurants here in the Valley. Dillon's Barbecue over on the West Valley. Yeah. He's got one at the lake. He has one up at Dillon's Ranch, which is on your way up to Wickenburg. He has one at the Wildlife Zoo, and then he has one at Arrowhead. But so he gave me my hardest interview out of all the interviews that I had, and the Houston's interview, I drove from Columbia, Missouri, which is 6 hours outside of Chicago. I drove up to Chicago for my 3rd interview with Houston's, and then drove home that same night. Took a bunch of tests with them. But Rich gave me my hardest interview over the phone. I can still remember to this day. Yeah. Him asking me questions in particular, like, so if you were to make your own hamburger, how much fat to lean ratio would you have? And I'm like,
dang.
Well, I guess it'd be 80-20.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, cool. All right. Next question. Oh, you're sweating. But you passed it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. He offered me a job, and
why?
I was going to say,
why
did he offer me a job? I don't know.
I don't see it, no.
Houston's, I got lots of local favorites. I go out to eat a lot here. Okay. But when I do anything changing to my menu, or before I make a change on my menu, I go and eat at Houston's, and I think what George B will do. And their corporate used to be here. They moved it out to L.A. now. But
inspiration?
He just does it right, man. I mean, they're a chain, but I mean, you go to Houston's all over the country, and they're all, service, food. It's all about quality, which is something that I've really taken to heart, and that I do. Quality comes first before anything here.
Okay. But everything is quality.
A good work environment's right up there also, though. I mean,
sure,
I got Ramon, who's been with me 21 years. So my newest cook over at the Smokehouse has been with me 7 years. So
your newest cook?
That's my newest
cook. Yeah.
So I've been pretty fortunate.
That's really good.
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's a question for you. You know what? Did you find that you have a COVID talent?
A COVID talent.
So here, I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I found out that I cut my own hair.
Oh, really?
With the scissors.
With scissors?
Yeah, and my girlfriend she's like, I can't believe how good you cut your hair. So talent I didn't know. I still to this day. So I'm working on, in February it'll be 24 months that I haven't gotten a haircut, that I've been cutting my hair
doing it
myself.
yourself? Have you tried on other people? You want to try mine?
No.
That's interesting. I don't know if I discovered anything in particular.
The talent I didn't know that I had, that just kind of evolved.
I didn't know that I could get so angry. I knew that. I got 2 kids. They're 8 and 10 now. But yeah,
sorry, I hit the microphone
they'll test you. But we made it.
Nice, exactly. So then after KC Masterpiece, I went to Kansas City, opened up the Country Club Plaza for them. I was the first manager there. Then I went back to St. Louis, ran Sam's Steakhouse, where Denny Long, there was 5 prominent business owners, but Denny Long ended up buying out the other guys. They actually, 3 of them went to my high school, and then one of them went to my college. So the plumber who went to my college, he didn't miss a home or away game for 36 years at Mizzou.
Wow.
His name is Bill Kokis, and then Denny Long, Frank Bomarito, who owned a car dealership, and Bill Schicker, who owned a car dealership, and then Dick Piacek. But Denny Long was the president of Anheuser-Busch for 25 years.
Okay.
And he bought out all the other guys. He signed a contract with me, taught me all my business acumen. He literally took me to school 3 days a week. I would work with him in the daytime, teaching me, how to pay bills, how to do marketing, had dry erase board, and showing me what he did at Budweiser for 25 years. I mean, just invaluable learning. And then I would run the restaurant at night, which when I went there, they were taking reservations, and people were waiting 45 minutes for their reservations.
Wow.
So I got that turned around real quick.
Okay.
And I planned out everything, got everybody sat down. Point of my story is I ended up slamming the kitchen, and I ended up being our best grill cook. When you're the general manager of the restaurant and you're the best grill cook, it's not a good way to operate the business. I would seat everybody. I would go back and cook all their food, and then I would come back out and see how everything was.
This is at the steakhouse?
This is at Sam's Steakhouse in St. Louis. And then, we had these regular customers who were, I was always young guy seeking knowledge. I was a general manager at age 23 there. So Paul Savage was a meat guy who started selling meat in the 40s, and he taught me how to cut steaks, how to buy steaks, where to buy steaks. So that's why we use all Midwestern corn-fed beef here, although that's pork chop that you're cutting into there. Pork chop's outstanding.
Dude, this train of food that you're bringing us.
That peppercorn steak soup, that stuff's it's amazing, right?
Oh, that soup? Yeah, so just at first glance, I mean, it looks like clam chowder, right? But it's not clam chowder. I love clam chowder. That's better than clam chowder. Like, what you said you invented that?
Yeah, actually, Tim Kelly, who was my first chef, he and I grew up 1 block apart from each other. I brought him out here from St. Louis. He's the inventor of that. So we had a guy who wanted a brandy peppercorn sauce on his steak, and so Tim made it. And then after making it with the remnants, he was like, "Let's make a soup out of it," and that's how he invented the soup. pretty good.
It's pretty dang good. This pork chop's amazing too.
Oh, it's awesome.
I'm gonna be able to not talk soon. So George, this is your show from now forward.
So Sam's Steakhouse. So Paul Savage taught me the meat. Anthony Bomarito, he owns A Bomarito Wines. Used to own a restaurant called Anthony's, which is where Tony's is in St. Louis. Tony's is the only 5-star restaurant in St. Louis, and is the reason why I'm in the restaurant business. Brought there. My mom and dad used to take me out for my birthday all the time, for special occasions, my birthday. And for my 16th birthday, we went to Tony's, which is where the Rams Stadium is, the Edward Jones Stadium is. And when they expanded it, they moved Tony's over to Anthony's. And his brother Vince, Anthony gave up his restaurant for Tony's, which was his mom and dad's restaurant, and been around forever. And he closed his restaurant and then opened up a wine store. So at the old Tony's, Mater D meets you down, a coat and tie required.
Yeah.
Walks up the stairs backwards. It's a nice, dimly lit restaurant and all the accolades. And I mean, it's a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was like, my dad always hinting around, he was, I told you, originally a school teacher, and then he was in the restaurant business, and he was my main inspiration for the restaurant. I mean, he was like, he worked for Stuart Anderson's and Bennigan's and chains and Clarion hotels, but he was always like, wouldn't you like to have your own restaurant? And he was like giving his dream to me and kind of feeding it through me and like, wouldn't you like to play KC 95, which is a classic rock station in St. Louis, and telling me all the different things that
painting that
he would
picture.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I can remember having duck for the first time, I don't know, my 14th birthday, and him telling me that at a place called Cheshire Inn in St. Louis, and I'm like, yeah, the restaurant business, that's cool. I don't know, 14, you don't know what you want to do. But my 16th birthday, going to Tony's, I was like, this is what I want to do, man.
Why?
This is what I want to do. It was just the overall, just the feeling of elegance, I guess. I don't know, just the tablecloths and the wearing a suit coat and a tie, and it just, I loved everything about it. And, the waiters, I still can't do it, but preparing stuff tableside with spoons in their hands. I mean, how do they do that stuff?
You're even looking at your hands. I've been trying to figure it out. I have no idea.
Tried that for years, man. Can't do it.
Well, I'm a little bit behind.
I can break an egg with one hand and not crack the yolk, but I can't hold 2 spoons.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I don't even know what you're talking about as far as like the move. So I'm even less back. Like, wait, what move? I've never seen that before. And people walking up the stairs backwards, like that's
it was awesome.
Fancy. I didn't even know that existed. So
and Denny introduced me to at Sam's, and regular customers and me talking to them and wanting to learn about it. So I learned about wine. I learned about meat cutting and aging meat, and where to what makes where to buy the best meat, and then produce. Phil Cantanzaro, his family started produce in 1900 in a wagon selling produce in St. Louis, and he took me down to his shop and showed me all the different things to look for in produce. So very good education at Sam's. And then Rich Dillon was the director of operations for El Paso Barbecue out here. So actually, Curtis Pfaff was my manager at KC Masterpiece, and he's the one who contacted me. And I said, no, I'm happy in St. Louis. I'd stay here working underneath Denny Long, very happy. And he's like, sent me a plane ticket to come out here. I came out here in August. It was last week of August, first weekend of September, something like that. It was 117 the day that I got here.
And you'd never been here before?
I'd never been here before. Well, that's not true. When I was a kid, we did a trip to the Grand Canyon when I was like 7.
Yeah.
So made it up there, never came down here to Phoenix. But so he sent me the tickets, and I came out here, and I moved out here November 3rd, 1995. They offered me 3 times what I was making in St. Louis, and my ultimate goal was to own my own restaurant.
Yeah.
And that was getting me there quicker. Even though I was learning so much, I feel that I learned underneath his tutelage enough. I came out here. I was director of operations for El Paso Barbecue for 3 years. Then I left and opened my own restaurant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
nice.
and I did, searched all around the valley here, searched around in St. Louis, and, this is home here, man. I love Arizona.
I do too.
So, but I bring a little bit of my home, and I bring I'm offering a service to the St. Louis people here.
Yeah.
This is my home. We try to buy local. I love the local stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were talking about some of the local guys that you've worked with, the local folks you've worked with, and yeah.
So we talked about Houston's as a chain that's always had a special place in my heart. Probably my favorite restaurant outside of Frashers would be Richardson's. I don't know if you're familiar with them. That's
sounds familiar.
New Mexican cuisine. It's 16th Street in Maryland.
Okay.
It used to be 16th Street and Bethany Home Road.
Okay.
He now has Dick's Hideaway, which is there, and then he has the Rokery and Richardson's.
Gotcha. Okay. That's your.
That's probably my favorite outside of Frashers. Binkley's is right up there. I love Kevin and what him and Amy do, and I try to go there as often as possible. But also, Mondays, I try to take Mondays off, and we go out to eat, try a new place every Monday.
Okay.
So,
brand new each time, like trying to
try to do something different.
Yeah.
Did New York style pizza last night.
And?
It was all right.
Are the experiences typically better more than not? At least.
No. I can find something good about everything. Which they had the pizza. We just ordered the wrong pizza.
Okay.
But we ordered the name of the restaurant pizza is Artichoke Pizza. So, but it was more like pasta on bread.
Okay. All right.
So while I was there, I grabbed a vodka Sicilian pizza. And that was really good.
Really interesting. Good. Like a vodka sauce? Like a...
Yeah. But the pizza was... that was good. It was just the artichoke pizza was kind of like pasta.
Gotcha.
It would have been good for one slice, but not a 22-inch pizza.
That's a big pizza. I don't know why I'm acting surprised. Like, at George, you get big pizzas. I order big pizzas, right? I'm like, how big is the medium? They're like this. I'm like, I'll go with the large, yeah.
So doing research for we haven't talked much about Mrs. Chicken. Doing research for that, the way that happened was I closed down the old Frashers. We didn't talk anything about that, which is legendary. There's so many stories about that place.
I think we're going to have you on more than once, George, for sure.
That place was right across the street from Babe's. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I remember where your old place was. Yeah.
We served full menu till midnight every night. It was dark, dimly lit. So it was an awesome place. Lots of great stories. Lots of great stories. So,
was that the place you said that was the first place you opened up after being 3 years at
El Paso Barbecue?
Paso?
Yeah.
Okay.
So ended up opening up Frashers where Ambrosino's was. Did that with 4 working partners, all from St. Louis.
Okay.
Kevin Grogine, who's now in the liquor industry doing liquor training. He and I grew up together in St. Louis. 10 blocks from each other. We worked on the riverboats together.
Okay.
So he was out here. He was working at the Rock and Rodeo. And so we actually, that trip that I came out here in August, my buddies who lived out here were staying less than a mile from the 43rd Avenue in Peoria, El Paso Barbecue, which was the one I came to work at. So we actually, I had went there with them. So I guess there was another trip that I did. I did come out here for my first vacation as a professional, I guess.
Okay. As an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm an adult today, man.
That's
So.
right. Yeah. I know she didn't use that term on purpose.
But so, yeah, I did. I came out to visit Kevin. So I was out here once before. So, so Kevin, and then Tim Shortino, Patrick Malloy, and then Tim Kelly, who was the chef. Tim's the guy I grew up with. First guy I ever got drunk with.
Yeah.
That's
a good friend. That's a good
Halloween,
friend.
When was that? 7th grade.
Yeah.
Raided my mom's liquor cabinet.
After when you were 5, drinking the foam.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. Like the first, intentional. Yeah.
Poured a whole bunch together. That was right when the Big Gulp came out. So I'm a little older than you. So
yeah.
was,
I remember Big Gulps. I remember them, yeah.
And so, I mean, I can remember laying on the ground and the entire world spinning and me saying, dude, just stop it from spinning, man. Why did we do this? What happened to me?
I will never do this again.
Exactly.
Never. Yeah. We all say that.
Oh, yeah. So lots of good stories over at the old Frashers. And then Mrs. Chicken. So then opened up Frasher's Smokehouse. Then while I was at Frasher's Smokehouse, I kind of willed into my life Mrs. Chicken.
Okay.
Which Mac has helped me. He not only works on your physical aspect, but he also works on the mental aspect of it. And I'm driving home every single night on my way home. The one St. Louis thing that I have not done that I've been wanting to do for 22 years is it's called frozen custard. And it's there's a place in St. Louis called Ted Drew's that I grew up on as a kid. And we are going to make frozen custard here, I promise you.
Okay.
But so anyway, I'm driving home every night down 32nd Street, and I see this place, and I'm like, you know what? When they go out of business, because there's nobody in there ever, I go, when they go out of business, I'm going to open up a Ted Drew's there, or Frasher's frozen custard, but a Ted Drew's. That's what I do is I take things from my childhood and things that I see when I'm out. For instance, this chocolate dessert, we developed that ourselves. That's from one of the Monday nights that I went out to dinner.
Okay, I like that.
We can tell you that story, and then I came back and Tim and I developed that. Where was I?
Chocolate dessert.
That was an aside. So,
Okay.
All this food, I'm like a dog running back and forth in its cage. I don't know where to go. I want to go here and I want to go there. But I'm telling this other story. So anyway, I willed this place into my life. I'm driving home every night, and I'm like, I'm going to open up a Ted Drew's inside there. The landlord of the place calls me up. This is Mrs. Chicken's landlord. Calls me up and says,
"Not
hey,
Miss Chicken at this time."
Correct. It was a Mexican restaurant.
Okay, gotcha.
And they had been there for 20 years, but they had just sold a couple years earlier to some other people, and that's how it got all run down. And so anyway, he calls me up and says, "Hey, you want to open another restaurant?" I'm like, "Man, I don't think I can, man." I'm like, "Where is it?" And he tells me, and I'm like, "Dude, that's the place I drive by every single night. It's 4 buildings away from my barbecue restaurant."
Yeah.
And I go, "They were in there today." And he goes, "They ain't in there now." And when I drove home that night, they were loading everything out of the place.
Oh, wow.
And so he contacted me right before I was going to Jack Daniel's to be a barbecue judge, which Jack Daniel's is the most prestigious barbecue competition.
Happening this weekend, this coming weekend. We're going to be there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is happening.
We're doing a tour, and we couldn't get a shuttle bus because we're like, how I can't get a shuttle? And they're like, there's like the biggest barbecue competition on the planet or something like.
Yeah. So it's the most prestigious. And So when I started the barbecue place, this is another side. Sorry, there's so many.
You're good, George. Keep them rolling. I like it.
So my buddy sells Jack Daniel's. I drink Jack Daniel's. I serve it all the time. I go, I'm doing research on all this stuff, and I see the Jack Daniel's barbecue competition, and I'm like, we're going to enter that. And so I figure out what I have to do to enter it, and you have to win a barbecue contest. So to
enter the Jack Daniel's.
Yes.
Okay.
So I entered a Jack Daniel's barbecue I entered a contest here, and took first place with the sole intention of just going to Jack Daniel's. And so I win the competition. I contact Jack Daniels. I go, I want to come. I'm bringing all my friends. We're going to go out there and we're going to have a blast, right? And she goes, you can't compete in Jack Daniels. You know how hard it is to get in here? And I go, well, I met all your criteria. And she goes, no. You have to meet these other criteria. And I go, well, there was 50 contestants. That's all you said. And she's like, no, it has to be a KCBS certified. So it's Kansas City Barbecue certified, which is a barbecue judge that I'm certified Kansas City, Memphis, and Texas. But the Kansas City is what you had to do for Jack Daniels. So anyway, I once again, Glenn Close, I will not take no for an answer. Look at all the Jack Daniels I sell. Look at the restaurants I have. I met your criteria. I want to come down and compete. She's like, no. She goes. So finally, after like my 5th phone call, she's like, look, man, you want to be a judge? And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to be a judge. I want to compete, man. I'm a competitor. I want to compete.
Judges don't win.
And right, exactly. And so I tell my friends, and they're like, so let me see. We get to go down there. We get to drink. We get to go to all the parties, and you don't have to work? Why the hell wouldn't you want to do that in the first place? And I go, hey, you know what? You put it that way. That sounds good. So I went down there and became a judge at the Jack Daniels barbecue competition. So 2 days before I left, I left on a Thursday, and on Tuesday is when the landlord contacted me about Mrs. Chicken. So I went to Nashville. I hear about this Nashville hot chicken. I go and wait in line. I'm like, dude, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I opened up Mrs. Chicken. So went and did research for a year. Went and to Prince's. So it's actually a cool story. This hot chicken. So Thornton Prince. So the story goes, it's a ladies' man in the 30s in the Nashville area.
With a name like that, you kind of got to be a ladies' man, right?
Thornton Prince.
Mm-hmm.
So one of his lady friends, he comes home late one Saturday night, as normal. She gets up Sunday morning, starts making his favorite meal, fried chicken.
Okay.
She thinks she's going to get even with him, so she throws in a whole bunch of cayenne pepper in there to burn his mouth out. Thornton laps it all up, asks for seconds, and that's how the hot chicken was invented.
Really?
Oh.
They still tell that story today. So they have a place called Prince's. So Thornton Prince, he and some buddies opened up a barbecue and a hot chicken restaurant. It happened for a few years. They closed it down in like the late 40s. And then in the early 70s, I think 1972, they opened up Prince's.
Okay.
Prince's great-grandniece is operating that today. So I went and met her and just kind of fell in love with this hot chicken, man. It is addicting, man.
What makes it like so?
It's the lard-based sauce. Well, we use lard-based, so it's fat oil. We cook it in peanut oil. Buy good chicken. We brine it for 2 days. Made our own breading. Bread it. We dunk it in buttermilk before we do the breading. Then we cook everything to order, peanut oil.
Yeah.
And then we dunk it in this lard-based hot sauce. And so we have 6 different levels. There's classic, which is no heat. Then the mild, I told you that makes my manager sweat. So when it comes out, then we put a little dry rub on top of the chicken. And so there's a Scoville Scale. You ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. So there's a guy in the 1800s. His name was Scoville, and invented the heat levels of peppers. So like a jalapeno pepper is about 7,000 to 8,000 Scovilles. Cayenne peppers around 30,000 to 50,000. So our mild is cayenne pepper. So they're all cayenne pepper based.
Okay.
We have mild, medium, hot, extra hot, and then triple X hot. So I call it a mild now. Now you're heating up. Medium, like a summer day in Phoenix. No, that's the hot. Then we have the burn your face off, which is the double X.
Yep.
And then we have the surface of the sun, which is the triple X. And so the mild's about 30,000 Scovilles. Our medium's about 50,000 Scovilles. Then we do habanero peppers for the hot.
Ooh.
So that's 150,000 Scovilles. Ooh. Then the double X is ghost pepper, and that's 1,000,000 Scovilles. And then the ghost pepper was the hottest pepper in the world forever, right? And then this guy in Carolina started breeding different peppers and getting them to make the hottest. And he has the Carolina Reaper, which is our Surface of the Sun, the triple X. You have to sign a waiver for it. That's
Do you?
2,000,000 Scovilles.
Man.
And then we kick it down a notch with the scorpion pepper.
And the question we're all wondering is, at what point do orifices start bleeding? Is that the surface of the sun hot?
Dude, we sell probably 10 of those a week.
No way, really. People just want to ruin their day, huh?
Oh, the last time I ate it, I had to eat all of them, experimenting,
sure.
and I made a triple X, and I forget what it might have been for a picture for somebody or something, and I'm a big not trying to waste anything, so I'm going to eat whatever's left over, and I'm like, I'll just eat that one. Like 20 minutes, actually 1 minute after, 30 seconds, 4 seconds after eating it. You like how I dropped that all the way down?
Yeah.
But then
he's revisiting it as mine. 20.
But then like
Reliving
40 minutes later, I'm like, dude, that's still with me, man.
Still burning.
Oh
man.
And that's on the sandwich where I had our mustard slaw on there and pickles to kind of cool it down a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the food here.
Yeah, I don't know why we thought we could fit 3 restaurant podcasts in one doing
I'm
this.
sorry, am I going too long, man?
No, we're talking about the amount of food that we have to eat, George. Because I try not to leave stuff behind. Yeah.
When I lay
like
down
it.
for bed at night and I go to sleep and I'm having the best dream ever, this is pretty close to what it looks like. So, yeah. So tell us about.
We'll
some of the stuff
start
we
here
have
and we'll work our way around. How about
Perfect.
that? So the chicken cordon bleu. So that has smoked ham in there, the Provel cheese that I put on our pizzas that we ship in from St. Louis. Lightly bread that and then pan fry that, and then that has a Dijon thyme sauce on top of there.
Okay.
Grilled asparagus, and then our garlic mashed potatoes.
And is that a popular dish in St. Louis? Is that where that comes from? Because it's French, right?
Yeah. I'm very old school, I guess. You have to have a chicken dish, and I try to do stuff that other people aren't doing. And
Sure.
I can't tell you how many people a night, not per week, but a night, tell me how great this chicken cordon bleu is. I mean, I have people who tell me they've eaten all over the world, eaten in France.
Really?
And they say this is right up there. So
That's got to be a wonderful feeling for you, huh?
dude, I very humbling. And the amazing thing is I mean, you never get used to it, but I get told it a lot. I'm very fortunate in that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Is that why you're always smiling, huh?
Well, I'm around food all the time.
He's talking about barbecue tours and barbecue competitions.
The steak, I mean, I get told it's the best steak I've ever had a lot. I mean, at least a couple times a week there.
It is impeccably cooked.
Yeah,
You
it
know
really
what I mean?
is. Yeah.
That's something that a lot of steakhouses don't really nail, is the cooking of their steaks.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you look at this, and it's got the perfect sear on the outside, and then the inside is the perfect level of pink, and it's so tender. It's a little bit
Thank
of
you.
a thicker, taller steak, right?
Yes.
It melts in your mouth. It's incredible.
I feel like I
Awesome.
could have cut it with a fork. Honestly.
Yeah,
Like, it
definitely,
was-
definitely.
Okay.
Cut that with a butter knife for sure. So that's Midwestern corn-fed beef.
Okay.
Aged 21 days. That's a wet age. And then it's a soy-based sauce that we make in-house. We base that on the steaks, and then we take some clarified butter, poured it on over at the end to create a flame that puts a little crust on top of it.
And the sear on it, it's like a lot of people when they sear meats, obviously the sear is always going to add flavor, right? But this is like an extreme level of flavor in the sear, and the sear itself is almost like a sauce, right? Obviously,
Yes.
the sauce
Thank
plays
you.
into that, but it enhances the flavor. Like when you're chewing the center, since it is a taller steak, you get almost like a few different bites. Some with more of the sear flavor, some with more of just the pure meat flavor. It's a really delicious steak. Why did you decide to cook it like that?
Well, this is similar to the steak that I learned how to cook at Sam's Steakhouse.
Okay.
So there's a sauce there called Andreas steak sauce, and it's a brush-on steak sauce. So actually, I took that sauce to one of my college professors, and we dissected it, and then I came up with my own recipe.
What was it, like a history teacher or something? Like
Nutrition teacher, yeah. Try to utilize my resources.
Yeah.
These toasted raviolis, we ship those in from St. Louis.
And is that your mother that ships them in, like the cheese, or no?
Yeah, no, she does. She does that, and then the gooey butter cake. That's her recipe.
Okay.
So those are some St. Louis items that both of those were accidents that were invented in St. Louis.
Really?
So there's an Italian settling in St. Louis called The Hill. There's two different restaurants that claim fame to this. That 1948, both of them making raviolis in the kitchen, and one dropped onto the floor. So one story says the other one fell into the pot of boiling grease, and instead of throwing it away, because the Italian chefs are very frugal, threw some Parmesan cheese and marinara and brought it out to the bar, and that's how toasted raviolis were invented.
It's a shock that it didn't become a thing earlier than that, right? You eat it and you see them now, and it's just like, duh. You
Right?
know? Toasted ravioli. It's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
The gooey butter cake, that was a bakery in St. Louis that invented that in the 1950s, I believe, late 40s, early 50s. And the baker was trying to make a different cake and ended up putting in, there's a couple different recipes, and put too much flour in or not enough flour in. There's a couple of different stories. And that's how the gooey butter cake was invented. So the gooey butter cake is actually a breakfast cake in St. Louis.
Oh,
And
really?
growing up
Breakfast
as a kid,
cake. I love that.
yeah, I love that term.
Yeah.
So kind of like a coffee cake, sugar high. Send those kids off to school,
Get
and
them going. Yep.
well, bring them down at night with Budweiser, get them up in the morning with sugar.
That's right. Rinse, repeat. Rinse,
Good
repeat.
old-fashioned Midwest diet, right?
It is, yeah.
So either your mom made it or you bought it at a bakery. It was not on any restaurant when I was growing up as a kid. And when I decided to bring some of my heritage into my Arizona restaurant, bring in some of my St. Louis favorites, I wanted to make that into a dessert. And everybody kind of thought, they're like, that's a breakfast cake. What, you're going to make that into a dessert? So we make it a little gooier. And then I made a Bailey's butterscotch caramel sauce.
Okay, yeah.
That we put on top to make it more like a dessert.
And so, St. Louis is not a place that when you think of culinary powerhouse regions, St. Louis doesn't really pop into a lot of people's mind.
Probably not.
Here,
yes.
you've integrated it in a way that it really tells the story of that region's food and also your heritage. And so, that's something you've also always been very keen on. How have people responded to it here in Arizona that aren't familiar with these types of foods?
They love it. I mean, the steak they love, that peppercorn steak soup, unbelievable. The toasted raviolis, the gooey butter cake. I mean, that's always a crowd pleaser.
That mac and cheese.
What is this we have right here as well?
So that's a grouper, which is our fish this evening. That's kind of a way for us to flex our culinary muscle, I like to call it.
Okay.
I have some wonderful people. Marcos is the one who prepared all this here, and allow him to get fresh seafood in, and do whatever he wants. So we change it around. So the daily fish changes.
Is it Marco or Marcos?
It's Marcos.
Marcos. I like him.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Well, making your belly happy right now.
Yeah. I'm going into the territory where my belly is like, maybe I'm a little too happy.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to start making you sweat. You're going to start sweating if you don't stop.
So the mac and cheese, I make that different at the barbecue place than I do here. But we make everything from scratch.
That is fantastic. Is that
awesome,
using
right?
some of the cheese like the
We
St.
do
Louis
put some
cheese?
of the
Yeah. That's
Provel in there.
That is one of the. I picture that with like some barbecue in it, like some
Nice.
pulled pork,
Ooh.
or by itself, just in my hands.
Yeah.
Scooping it out.
I did that a couple of nights at the old Frashers after I'd spent the night there.
Yeah.
We used to have couches there.
Better sleep on the couch than the floor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the pile of meat over here? That I'm
So
seeing?
those are our baby back ribs.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So so we serve baby back ribs here. I think that those are I buy the meatier racks of ribs. Most racks of ribs that you see around town, or anywhere for that matter, is a baby back rib is a traditional one's about 1 3/4 pounds for a full rack. They've now brought them up to 2. The racks of ribs that I buy, these are actually loin back ribs. So they're the same bones. They're the baby back ribs, but these hogs that I'm buying them from, those racks of ribs are weighing between 3 and 3.5 pounds.
Okay.
So almost double. Well,
Wow.
actually double the size of a traditional baby back rib.
So now this is made here at the tavern.
Yeah, so I have a smoker here. I
do
have
have a smoker.
I have a
Okay,
smoker
nice.
down at the barbecue place. Actually, Rich Dillon and I shipped out our first smokers from Missouri together. Cape Girardeau, Missouri. It's an Old Hickory pit. Probably closer to where you grew up, you'd know a Southern Pride. So that's they're similar. The Missouri version is Old Hickory. The Illinois version is a Southern Pride.
Okay.
Is that the
So-
meat, or is that the wood that you use all of your?
So
for all of your
I
smoking?
use Arizona pecan wood here.
Okay.
So in the Midwest we used hickory.
Okay.
Hickory's hard to find out here. So actually I buy that from Berry Brothers down on Van Buren. I also used Paul Bunyan's out off of Warner, but Berry Brothers, John, who's there, is very knowledgeable and helping me with wood. For instance, in Texas, they cook mostly at post oak, and so I was trying to stay true to the roots when I came back from that. The whole reason I did that, well, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons, I have a smoker that I willed into my life, like I willed in that restaurant into my life.
Yeah.
The smoker was actually at a place right around the corner here that went out of business, and I was driving by it and seeing it outside, and I was like, whoever takes this place over, I want to buy that smoker. And my buddies at Boondocks sent me a picture of just like the label on the smoker there, and is like, do you want this? And I'm like, dude, I've been looking at that smoker every day. How does he know that I want it? I mean, you couldn't see anything else around it, and I knew exactly what it was when he sent it to me. So the Boondocks guys, they just opened up a new place in Tempe, and they bought the old Chicago place that was here in Old Town, and so they gave me that smoker. So it's a J&R Oiler smoker, which is electric, so it does rotate, but it's only wood fired. Whereas the old Hickory that I have, because we cook overnight, the pork smokes for 16 hours, the brisket smokes for 12 hours. So, we're smoking whole hogs in there. Those take 22 hours to smoke.
Wow.
And so instead of us putting wood in all night, we can set a temperature and put the wood in, and it'll keep temperature all night long. So that J&R Oiler smoker, we're going to start doing some Texas style, making our own sausage. We do beef ribs on Wednesdays. We're going to add that on Saturdays. And then this Texas style brisket that we do on Tuesdays, we're going to do that on Saturdays. I just did a patio over at the Smokehouse, and we're going to do a live band outside and then do this Texas style smoking on Saturdays.
Nice.
Then on Sundays, we're going to do pig pickings, where we'll smoke a whole hog, and you can come and pick off a pig and have a little barbecue out there,
Man.
grass patio. Pretty cool.
You said at the beginning of the podcast, you guys know how to party.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't lying.
Yep.
And one of the things I love about your smoked items is you can taste the smoke. It's not just like, cooked and it tastes like any other rib. Like, you can really taste the smoke on them. And I figured that's something you guys really dialed in over time, is it?
Yes, it is. So the reason we use pecan wood and the reason I used hickory is it's not too overpowering for chicken and
I'm still
chicken
going
and fish.
crazy over these.
I love it.
For people
I
just
love it.
listening, I hit his
love it.
microphone with a mac and cheese. So.
That's how you know it's a good podcast, right?
Hey.
I haven't even had a drop of beer yet either, so this is all food buzz.
Seriously. I do feel intoxicated off of everything we've been eating right now. My body's like, what is going on?
Right.
But it's a good feeling,
I love it. So that Arizona pecan wood is it's strong enough to permeate pork and beef, but it's not too overpowering for chicken and fish. And we smoke everything, and I try to smoke everything at the same temperature. We're sticking around 220 degrees, so more on the lower end of things. Overnight, we'll drop it down even to 195, 200.
Okay.
That corn we're smoking right now, I told you guys that stuff's amazing. Even you were talking about at the old Frashers, broccoli. Like, broccoli's on my menu. People are raving about my broccoli. I'm like, it's broccoli, man. But it's pretty cool.
What is it about it that they rave about mostly?
Well, this is different. That's another thing that I do is I try to do something different at all the restaurants. So the one that we do over at the Smokehouse is the one that they normally do. You know what? I'll tell my secrets away, buddy. I drop a little sugar in there.
Oh, in the broccoli?
Just a little tad of sugar.
Just a little.
Yeah, salt and pepper and a little sugar.
Is there anything that sugar doesn't make better?
Right. So that corn, I'll tell you another secret. So that corn, so we're smoking that corn, cutting it, so getting it on the cobs, getting it fresh, peeling it back, seasoning it up, sticking it in the smoker, cutting it, take it out of the smoker, smoke it for about 45 minutes to an hour, cut it off the cob, and then we saute it to order with a little salt, pepper, and butter, and then a little brown sugar. So that's why it gives it a little caramelization on there.
Yeah.
So that kind of enhances the smoke flavor. That brown sugar kind of brings that out.
I like just looking at all these plates and seeing like mashed potatoes and not like some quinoa blend or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm for that stuff, I guess. My wife likes healthier stuff, and I'm like, give me mashed potatoes. What's in those mashed potatoes? Cheese? Yes, two helpings.
2 helpings. So the wings we smoke. So I do wings different at all 3 restaurants also.
Okay.
You do not like making your job any easier, do you?
Yeah, I try to.
That's
every
that
time
passion, though, right?
every time I make it, I'm like, man, that's damn good. And then I'm like, man, that's damn good. So at the barbecue restaurant, I wanted one thing on there that wasn't smoked. So at the old Frashers, we used to smoke the wings, which is what these are. And then so we smoke those with our barbecue rub, and then we put barbecue sauce on top of there.
Ooh.
At the barbecue restaurant, I wanted one thing that wasn't smoked, so we bread them, we deep fry them, then we toss them in our homemade buffalo sauce, and we put them on the grill and let them caramelize a little bit.
Ooh, I like that.
So, and then at Mrs. Chicken, they're breaded, deep fried, and then we toss them in the hot sauce.
Yeah.
So 3 different styles of wings.
That is. I like that though, right? Because it could be, it is more difficult, right, to do it that way. But then it's also, I don't know, that sometimes you'd say, oh yeah, I got 3 different places, but it's just the same food at 3 different spots,
sure.
Which is not a bad thing necessarily.
Right.
But if you have 3 different places with 3 different names and concepts, then it should be different.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I think too.
Yeah. Where were we? I know. I just want to eat the rest of that mac and cheese, man. That was.
So
Oh,
gluten free. Almost all the barbecue. All the barbecue is gluten free. At the steakhouse, everything is gluten free. Not everything, but the pork chop, the steaks are. And actually, one of my best friend from high school, his wife is gluten free, and so they came out here, and I didn't have anything for dessert, and I'm just always like, I try to accommodate vegetarians. I'm always thinking about them. We smoke tofu. We bread tofu and make tofu fingers.
Wow.
We're always doing some kind of unique stuff that other people aren't doing for the vegetarians, vegetarian pasta or lasagna or whatever. And the gluten-free people, we're always trying to accommodate them. Not always. We are accommodating them. But for dessert, I was just like, man, I mean, I can get you some fresh fruit, man.
A really sweet apple, man.
And she goes, what about creme brulee? And I'm like, oh, what a great idea. So I put creme brulee on the meal on the menu here, and so that's our gluten-free option.
How is it
dessert.
like? What's in
Eggs and sugar?
Ah, okay.
It's like just custard with caramelized sugar on
and
top,
then
right?
you put a little sugar on top, and you get a blowtorch, and you burn the sugar on top.
And you touched on it a minute, but what is going on with this? Is it chocolate pie or?
So when you were over there taking pictures, I was telling him that I like to go out and check out new restaurants and support the local people. And, I mean, I told you guys earlier, I'm a restaurant junkie, man. We were talking about Houston's. So when I went and opened up the KC Masterpiece on the Plaza, I was working, I don't know, about 105 hours a week. And I'm just fresh out of college. I'm learning. And I would get off of work and walk 2 blocks up to the Houston's, and I would sit there at the bar for another 2 or 3 hours and just watch so I could learn from them. And so anyway, that's one of the reasons why I go out is what I was talking about. So there was a restaurant on Indian School. It is now the Nook.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But it was an Italian restaurant before the last 3 restaurants that it's been. And went in there on a Monday night, and they had this chocolate dessert. And I came in the next day to talk to Tim, my chef, and I'm like, dude, we're going to create a chocolate dessert. I go, we don't have an outstanding chocolate dessert. He's like, okay, what do you want to do, man? And I go, we're going to make it nice and light and fluffy like a chocolate cake. And he goes, cool. And I go, and it's going to be deep and rich like a brownie. And he goes, what? He goes, you can't do that. He goes, you just contradicted yourself in the exact same sentence. I go, we're going to do it, man. So we take a chocolate flourless brownie and a chocolate cake that we make everything from scratch, and then we combine them in the cooking process, and then we cut off a little bit of the cakiness that forms a crust on the bottom. And that's what you come up with, that chocolate decadent cake.
That's amazing, man.
So you
It's
do
awesome,
classify it as a cake, or?
I call it chocolate decadent cake.
Because it almost has like a pudding consistency, but then
is,
it does
right?
have the cakiness to it. It's interesting. I've never really had something like that before.
It's really
Good.
good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
It's
rarely
awesome,
go
right?
back for a second bite of dessert unless it's like cheesecake.
Right.
I went back for like 3 on that one. Yeah.
See, we have cheesecake here too, but I was limited on my options.
I'm okay with that.
I
I
didn't
am
want to put
okay
you in
with
too big a coma.
Well,
We did the Mrs. Chicken. We didn't. We have the collard greens, the red beans and rice, and the baked potato salad there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't even do potato salad at the Smokehouse. But truth is, I don't really like potato salad.
no.
really?
It's not one of the 3 things that I don't like. I like everything, but there's like 3 things that I don't like. But
I got to know what those are.
Yeah. I gotta know too.
those might even change. Olives were on the list. I like olives in my martinis. Radishes, I still don't like radishes. I don't know why. I just don't like radishes.
Because they're gross.
What is the third thing that I don't like? There's a third thing.
Horseradish. That's the only thing on my list.
Oh,
And
I love
radishes,
that.
actually. And those are kind of the same thing,
Right,
right?
right.
Horseradish, radish.
Oh, I love horseradish.
Oh, man. People are like, even like not with like beef. I'm like, I don't care what it's with. Like,
Bloody Mary?
Yeah. No, I will
put
say
lots of horseradish in my
no.
burger.
I will tell people that like for someone like you, if you came to me and say have this dish with
horseradish,
I would eat it. I would, right? Like I wouldn't. I'm not going to choose it, but if somebody knows what the hell they're doing, I'll try it out. So where were we going? Oh yeah, horseradish pie.
So so the baked potato salad we make theirs is it's like a loaded baked potato, only it's all cold. So we got the potato salad, and then take sour cream and mayonnaise to make it the mixture, and then we top it with bacon, cheddar cheese, and chives.
It's not. Is that something you've seen elsewhere? I've not heard of that before. Is that kind of your guys' riff?
I've
on
never
it?
seen it anywhere. I just kind of made it up.
Is that something? It seems like you like taking kind of classic things and putting your own little spin on them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I do like doing.
So
thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my
gumbo,
question then
I didn't
leads
talk
is,
about the gumbo.
oh yeah, the gumbo, please.
So actually, there's a place in Kansas City called Joe's of Kansas City. It used to be called Oklahoma Joe's, and when I was there in 2011 for the MLB All-Star game, we went and waited in line at Joe's, and I mean, I lived in Kansas City, but Joe's wasn't there then, and he had a chicken gumbo on his meal and on his menu, and so when I was doing the recipes for the Smokehouse, I knew this peppercorn steak soup is a signature soup that we have here at Frashers, and I was like, we need to have a signature soup, and so he gave me the idea for the gumbo, so I did a smoked turkey gumbo. So that's what that is. But we start off with the traditional roux, shrimp, crab meat, crawfish, the smoked turkey, andouille sausage, tasso ham, okra. Bring it all together, and then we serve a little rice on top.
When I was eating it before, I tasted, not in a bad way, but a little bit of the fishiness that you would obviously get from those things. And when you said smoked turkey gumbo, I'm like, I hope it's not just turkey in there. that would be a little bit of a cause for concern. But yeah, that's I haven't had too much gumbo, but that is delicious. And there's just something about like a soupy, brothy dish with rice in it that's just so satisfying to chew on, munch on. I guess you're not really chewing on it at that point, but it's a delicious dish, and it once again ties back into your heritage as well.
That's what I grew up learning, how to cook down there on the river boats in St. Louis on the muddy Mississippi. We've gotten into. I love music, and I've been fortunate enough. We've been catering a lot of green rooms around town. And we just did Tab Benoit, who was playing at the Rhythm Room, which is just down the road from us. And he's from Louisiana. And so and his whole band is from Louisiana, Mississippi. And so I brought some gumbo and the red beans and rice. They played 2 nights. The owner of the Rhythm Room, who actually does a Monday night blues show on PBS radio. KHTR.
Okay.
91.5, whatever that is.
NPR, yeah.
NPR, sorry. Thank you.
So I've listened to that before.
So he does the Sunday night blues. Anyway, he called up and told my manager, my catering manager, how impressed that the band was that, people bring him stuff from Louisiana all the time, and they were fighting over the food. They said he called up to specifically say how happy the band was. So.
That's for you. That must be like kind of what you do it for, right? Because if there's people who do it for passion and there's people who do it for a career, you can see your passion kind of runs through everything you're doing. So is that like the ultimate accomplishment when people come to you and say they just love your food?
Dude, I'm still flying on clouds, and I mean that was 3 weeks ago.
Just wake up, look in the mirror, smile. You made it, man.
We're doing Mary Lou Harris tomorrow night. She's so I've been all the people that we're doing. I'm trying to see where they're from. We're doing Gladys Knight next week. She's from Georgia, so we're gonna do some peach cobbler, and we're gonna do some fried chicken. She actually had a chicken and waffles restaurant. So I like seeing where they're from. Mary Lou's from Alabama.
Okay.
So we're doing some fried chicken. We're going to do some Alabama white barbecue sauce for her. And we're doing some catfish. So we do catfish on Fridays over at the Smokehouse. So we do it traditional breaded with homemade hush puppies and then coleslaw.
And so that's fried, not smoked.
Fried
right?
catfish,
Okay.
yeah.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. Your menu just grows and grows and grows. You're like, we have this. This is what we have on our menu. Then on Fridays we have catfish. On Saturdays we do this. Then we do a whole hog. I'm like, yes.
And it's like always more delicious than the last too. A new plate comes and I take a bite and I'm like, oh my god, this is fantastic.
Thank you.
How long did it take to accumulate all these different recipes and get them dialed in, or was it just kind of like, did it just happen for you?
So that's something else. I'm old, man. 22 years we've been at this. I'm pretty fortunate to be that long. And I telling them that we were gonna do a cookbook here, and I realized when I was doing the recipes for the Smokehouse that I have 250 recipes in my repertoire.
Wow.
And then we've added, I don't know, probably another 20 or so here since I've been in the last year here, maybe 15.
Well, let me know when that cookbook comes out, because that's definitely going to be on my Christmas list.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Hopefully
you.
Santa gets me one.
That's awesome.
I'll taste the foods, whatever you need me to taste.
So it's going to be, we're going to include recipes, and I'm going to include stories with it. I very fortunate, great childhood growing up, and like I said, lots of fun and partying. I'm going to call the cookbook Work Hard, because I do work hard. I mean, I'm still 7 days a week right now. I'm trying to get down to 6, which we'll be doing here soon. But so I'm calling it Work Hard, Play Harder. My life as a restaurateur.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So we'll include some nice stories, and I mean, we got amazing stories. All these characters here are all celebrities that came into to our restaurants.
I was noticing that, because I mean, it's obviously the same artist, right?
So it's a local lady. Her name's Valerie Gower.
Okay.
And actually, I saw her at a Southern Wine and Spirits, which is now Southern Glacier, a liquor distributor here. A few years ago, they had their wine tasting, and she was doing caricatures. And so I brought her. When I do my holiday party, we normally close down for Super Bowl, and then I wait on my whole staff, and then they all, we kind of do it in the restaurant and just have a big party. And so I brought her in to do caricatures of everybody. And then I told her, this is at the old Frashers. I was like, you know what? We have about 170 celebrities who have come in here. And I go, I'd like to do caricatures of all of them. So I gave her a list of names, and she just made them all up.
Wow.
And there's a couple of guys like Jimmy Edmonds here, got a Cincinnati Reds hat on. You might like that, huh? Where did you grow up?
Ohio, northeastern Ohio, more between Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
So Cleveland.
Yeah.
Or you're Pittsburgh.
Well,
fan.
my grandparents were Pittsburgh fans, so I don't really care that much.
Right.
I love sports, but I was fortunate enough to not have like a team that my happiness is dependent upon their success. Because my friends are Steelers fans or Browns fans, and they're battling each other the whole time. But I'm noticing that. Yeah, there's
so anyway,
Indians, Cincinnati Reds.
I told her Jimmy Edmonds played for the St. Louis Cardinals. And
okay.
I'm like anybody who played for the St. Louis Cardinals, you got to put a St. Louis hat on him.
Yeah.
Billy White Shoes Johnson next to him.
Very detailed drawings too.
Yeah.
Like that had to have taken her a long time.
Yeah, I have another. I mean, that room's full. The bar's full. So the theme we were kind of going for was so I had all these in my front room. Nobody's ever seen them because nobody used to go into the front room. Because at Ambrosino's, that was the main dining room, and then the lounge area was his banquet room.
Okay.
But I turned it into a bar, and that's where all the action was. That's where everybody was. So.
Okay.
I mean, it sat 200 people in there. So, I mean,
wow.
that's a restaurant in itself.
Yeah.
And then we had another 80-seat restaurant in the front. So I had all these characters in the front room, and everybody's like, oh, you made them all? And I'm like, yeah, they were all there, but nobody saw them because nobody goes in that room. So when we opened this place up, it was pretty good timing with Don and Charlie's closing. And so I was kind of going for that baseball crowd. We're on the same street as the Giants Stadium. That's a Giants corner over there. lot of the Giants guys used to come into the old Frashers. Barry Zito's on the end over there. I don't know if you know that name, but he pitched with Oakland and then went over to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he used to do he started a charity called Strikeouts for Troops. And every spring training, we'd fly out some military guys from California, bring them to a baseball game, then we'd bring them to the restaurant, and Zito plays music. What's his name right there?
Jake
Peavy from Alabama.
Peavy, okay.
Yeah. Remember that because I did some Alabama cooking for him, some fried green tomatoes. And
You remember a lot of names, George. A lot of names.
So Peavy played, and then Flannery, their third base coach. So they'd get up and have a concert. So we'd give them food, take them to a baseball game, and then give them a little concert afterwards. We did that for about 9 years.
Wow.
Looks like somebody got removed from up there.
Yeah, I think that's Peavy. He just fell.
Okay.
Yeah, Vince Coleman. We have his jersey. He was actually the very first jersey that we got at the old Frashers. Actually, my partner Kevin ran into him at Z Tejas out in Chandler, invited him into our restaurant. Vince came in. We hit it off, and he brought in Roy Green. I don't know if you know Roy Green used to play for the football Cardinals. He actually started in St. Louis with the St. Louis Cardinals, came out to Arizona, played with them. He was both offense and defense.
Oh, wow.
So so the two of them kind of had a rivalry, I guess, who could bring in the bigger celebrity in the Frashers. So
lucky for you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well played, George.
We did Vince's bachelor party and his rehearsal dinner, and so Michael Jordan came in. He brought Jordan in, and then next thing you know, Roy Green brings Tiger Woods in. So
This is at Frasier's on Scottsdale Road.
Yeah.
So is Vince Coleman here in Arizona?
So he moved to San Diego about 10 years ago.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, we still stay in touch. Actually, a cool story in St. Louis. I told you I worked at the Arch. So growing up as a kid, my mom, actually, we lied about my age. You're supposed to be 16. I was 14 when we got a job down at the Arch. And Vince got Rookie of the Year in 1985. He actually jumped over the tarp that they brought out on the field and got caught and ended up bumming his knee out. And so he came down to the Arch on crutches. I remember that as a kid.
Yeah.
And I let him go up in the tram up to the top because they sell out every day. And he showed up, and I'm like, dude, it's been sold out for like 3 hours. Janet Jones, Wayne Gretzky's wife, she came into the Arch. I led her up. She was doing a movie, American Anthem.
Okay.
Way before your time. It was 80.
I was born in 78, so
really?
I might have been
All right.
around. Yeah. I don't remember
Well,
that one,
no. So she came. I didn't know who she was either. I'm a little teenage kid, and she's like, "Oh, I'm originally from St. Louis. I live out in L.A. now. I'm here promoting my movie. I'm going to be on the radio. Can I go up in the Arch?" And I'm like, "Sold out, lady. It's been sold out for like three hours."
Sit back there with Vince Coleman. Yeah.
So then I snuck her up and let her go up. Yeah. Then I listened to her on the radio, and then come to find out, that was her acting career, and I promoting her first movie, and then she married Wayne Gretzky. So their niece, they lived here in town when Wayne was coaching with the Coyotes. And,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Janet's sister, who's from St. Louis, and her niece, they used to come into the old restaurant all the time. So we'd catered up to their house a couple of times.
I thought you were going to say she got on the radio and threw you under the bus and you lost your job because she let her go up without a ticket.
Yeah. She did actually say something on the radio. She said she was going to. and she mentioned that I let her up on the arch ref when it was sold out.
Your boss is like, hey,
You're sitting
George,
there
come in
sweating.
here. Grab your
Right?
lunchbox. Yeah. Well, George. So what's next for George Frasher?
I'm enjoying life, man. Enjoying 3 restaurants. Working through the pandemic, we lost 90% of our sales here. So we crushed it starting out and
This spot. The Tavern
and this
here.
spot. Yeah. I mean, we crushed it so much that Texas barbecue trip I went on was 8 weeks into us opening here, and I felt comfortable enough to leave. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge step for me. And then we came back while we were in Houston is when they shut down the rodeo and barbecue competition because the pandemic had started. So then came back here. That was March 5th is when we left there, March 3rd. And so we never got any of spring training here. Great article in the paper came out about me. I mean, another moment that I teared up. I'm in Texas, and they sent me the article that was in the paper, and I'm reading it, and just I started crying while I'm reading the paper. I couldn't believe it. But so we got no tractions off of that. That came out on Sunday, and we closed down on Wednesday.
Well, what was that? What was the premise of the article?
It was just talking about my history and the old restaurant, and then the other 2 restaurants, and then this restaurant, and it was awesome
To kind of summarize all of all the work and everything that you've done to capture it in a that's
exactly.
really cool.
Oh, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then we were also on Channel 3 with Jamie's Local Love. We were on that the week before I left.
Okay.
So so we literally had 2 great things that would help with business, and then we just shut down. We were closed we took COVID very seriously, and or I did, and we were basically closed for about 8 months here. I mean, we were open, but nobody knew we were here. It's in a precarious location,
Yeah.
I mean, we're surrounded by 5 hotels. We're on the inside of a business office, so not much walk by traffic.
Sure.
And so we literally lost 90% of our sales. Went from a staff of 40 down to a staff of 6. And now we're building it back up. We're up to about 12 here, and continuing to add momentum. I think we'll do another. I'm probably going to combine the barbecue and the steakhouse and kind of make it more along the lines of like Tony Roma's or El Paso Barbecue or the KC Masterpiece, just with the steaks also.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I think that would probably be a concept that we would go forward with. The Mrs. Chicken thing is I mean, it's going to go like gangbusters. I mean, I love the restaurant business, and I'd do it for the passion and the love of it. But I got Mrs. Chicken. I ain't gonna lie, for the money.
Nothing wrong with that, George.
Dude,
Nothing
I mean,
wrong with that.
everywhere around the country. I flew out to L.A. There's a place called Howlin' Ray's in Chinatown in L.A. We flew out there, got there at 11, and we got served at 1:30 in the afternoon. I mean, just line 200 people deep.
Yeah.
You like waiting
Nashville.
in lines for food, huh?
I mean, I flew out there specifically just to do that. Once again, while we waited in line, my friend Chef Aaron May, I don't know if you guys know him.
Mm-hmm.
I know of him. Yeah.
So he's out in L.A., and so we went and hit 2 other chicken places while we were waiting in line. So we left 2 guys in line while we went and hit 2 other places. I like to do that, try to cram in as much as we can.
Yeah.
And then we hit a couple of more places and then flew out that night.
So people just love that Nashville hot chicken. They just
Oh man, it's, in Nashville. I mean, waited in line there.
Yeah.
The least amount of time I waited in line was 45 minutes.
That's not.
I don't know
reassuring,
about
George.
I don't
I'm
know
not much of a line waiter.
I'm not either.
Yeah. Well, you recommended Party Foul, right?
Yeah,
Like, because
yeah.
you can make reservations, and
Exactly.
we're right there in the Gulch too, so that might be.
Yeah,
that
I
might
think
be one of
that'd
our-
be good.
Yeah, yeah. Because can you drink in line in Nashville? See, because in Texas, if you're
No.
waiting in line, you can have beers off
Right,
the keg
right. No,
for free,
you can't.
which is even better. So, okay, I might have to rethink my strategy a little bit.
Yeah, Aaron, I cooked with him. Well, a couple of times, but we did the Super Bowl for Guy Fieri up in Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I cooked with Adam up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I
we
thought
were
Adam
talking
was
about
there.
Adam.
Yeah.
And we did McDowell Mountain Music Festival down here a few times.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
we did the hot chicken there. We actually we were on the Food Network with Eat Sleep Barbecue, which is a concept that was derived from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We did some some shows that are no longer, but a local show here that was on PBS Channel 9.
Check, please.
Yes, check please.
Yeah,
We were on the
yeah.
very first episode of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen it. Was it with Robert McGrath?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert, and then we had Cornish pasty was with us.
Yeah.
And then there was another place that was up north. I don't think it's open still.
And then that transitioned into Plate and Pour.
Right, which
like,
was
Mark
yeah.
Rebel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw his stuff in your magazine too.
Yeah, well, we got to get you a new issue because your stuff's in this one. In the
Awesome.
new magazine. Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
I'm doing my best to stay awake right now, I'll be honest with you.
Wish we were at the old Frashers and we had those couches.
I don't know if you noticed, but about an hour ago, I was ready to rock, man. I'm like, oh, man, the mac and cheese is sitting
I'm
in.
kind of feeling that too. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah.
Leaving this.
Yeah. George.
Awesome.
In the
Thank
best
you.
of ways.
Thank you. You guys
the
are
best of
awesome,
ways, for
man.
sure.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
We tried everything.
Yeah.
Tried it all.
And for those listening, get on down here to Frasher's Tavern and the Steakhouse, Smokehouse.
Frasher's Smokehouse,
Yes,
Mrs.
correct.
Chicken,
Mrs.
Frasher's
Chicken.
Tavern.
They know how to cook and they know how to party. So
Yes.
doesn't get much
Awesome.
better than that, right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, George.
Take care.